Hello everyone, today we're going to study the passive voice. Now, the first thing you need to do is download some of the documents I posted in Edmodo. You can find them in the folder for this week, week 3, and they are called Passive Voice. It's a PowerPoint document, then a PDF also called Passive Voice, and then another PDF called Passive Activities, which are the activities you will need to do for this unit. Now, first of all, let's go to the PDF. Now, the first thing we need to do is understand what the passive voice is and why we are studying it. The passive voice is simply changing the order of the elements in a sentence. And why do we want to do this? Well, basically, because it sounds better. Because of some reasons, there are different possible reasons, but the main reason is that it sounds better. Let's look at some examples to see this. For example, here we can see with the present perfect, we have the sentence, we have chosen Helen as the new president, or the passive voice, Helen has been chosen as the new president. Now we can see this in Spanish to understand why it sounds better. What sounds better? Nosotros hemos elegido a Helen como nueva presidenta o Helen ha sido elegida la nueva presidenta. The second option sounds much better. In Spanish, the situation is a little bit different because we have impersonal se, and this is a very easy way to solve this problem. In Spanish, we say se ha elegido a Helen como la nueva presidenta, but in English, we don't have this option. And in English, the subject, we, is obligatory. So, the passive voice is the perfect solution. Let's also look at the example with will. It says they will play the match on Wednesday evening. Ellos jugarán el partido el miércoles por la tarde. Or the match will be played on Wednesday evening. Se jugará el partido o el partido será jugado el miércoles. The second option sounds much better. And this is why we need the passive voice, because it sounds better. Now, the passive voice can be done with any verbal tense. The only condition is that we need a subject, sujeto, the verb, and an object. Okay? If you scroll down, you will see that we have different reasons for using it. For example, when we don't know who does something, for example, my sister's bike was stolen yesterday. It's true that we can say someone stole my sister's bike, but someone is a bit it's not very precise, so it sounds better to use the passive voice in this case. Or when we don't want or need to say who does something. For example, was someone invited? We understand that this if the people who organized the party invited him. But because it's obvious, we use this. Another good example is with the police. It's more simple to say that one protester was arrested because we all understand that if a person is arrested, this person is normally arrested by the police. So it's not necessary to mention. Okay? Now, how do we do it? Here we have an example. It says, someone stole my sister's bike yesterday. This is the active sentence. How do we transform it into the passive? The first thing we need to do is move the object to subject position. So, my sister's bike goes to initial position. Then we need to, here you can see it in the third point, then we need the verb to be in the same tense as the verb in the active sentence. So we have the active sentence, the verb is stole. Stole is past simple. And the past simple of the verb to be is was. So stole is becomes was. And then we need the past participle of the verb in the initial sentence. So my sister's bike was stolen yesterday. Okay? Now, important, and you have this in the second page. It is possible to mention the agent, the person who did it. It's not necessary, but we can mention it. For example, how hundreds of houses were built last year, or hundreds of houses were built by the government last year. Of course, it's not necessary to mention this, but in case we want to mention it, the preposition is always by. As I said before, and here you have it, it's not necessary to do it. For example, one protester was arrested by the police. It's not necessary because we all understand that if you are arrested, it's normally the police who arrests you. Okay? Let's now go to the PowerPoint to see some more examples. Just a minute. Yes, here. If you look at the PowerPoint, we have, first of all, these slides, and we have another example. The active sentence, the normal sentence, is J.K. Rowling wrote the first Harry Potter book in 1997. Now imagine I want the first Harry Potter book to be the subject of my sentence. So, the first thing is I detect that the verb wrote is past simple again, and the past simple of the verb to be is was. So, the first Harry Potter book was, and now the past participle, written in 1997. The past participle, remember, it's always the third column for irregular verbs or ed for regular verbs. Okay? Let's look at some more examples. For example, the nurses cure the patients. Here, the verb cure is in present simple, and the present simple of the verb to be is am, are, or is. In this case, the patients is plural, so are, and then the past participle of this verb, cured. The nurses are curing the patients. Are curing is present continuous, so present continuous of the verb to be, are being, and then past participle. And here we have another example. The nurses cured, past simple, the patients. The past simple of the verb to be is was or were. In this case, patients is plural, so were. And as you can see, in purple, you have the agent, by the nurses. Again, it's not necessary to mention this, but if you want, you can mention it. Well, here you have, again, the same explanation. And here I included different examples with different verbal tenses for you to see how to do it. But the structure is always the same. You always look at the active sentence and you need to analyze which verbal tense it has. And then you have to use the verb to be in this verbal tense plus the past participle. Okay? Finally, we have here again a little bit the explanation of when to use the passive voice. Number one, when the object is more important than the person or thing who did it. For example, my favorite film is The Ring. It was shot in 1998. It's not necessary to say the director filmed it or shot it in 1998. It's better to say it was shot because it's more important to say that the film was shot. Then, when we don't know who did it, for example, my car was stolen last month. It's like the example we saw before. The active sentence would be someone stole my car, but someone is very abstract. Number three, when it's obvious. For example, when it's the police or when it's not important. The 3 thieves were arrested last night. Or finally, when we write in very formal style, it's also very typical not to mention the subject, so we prefer a passive. Your ticket has been booked and can be collected from our office. Okay? All right, now this is the explanation. If you have any questions, please write to me or send me a message. And in the last PDF document, you have some exercises to practice this. You also have exercises to practice this in the tasks I gave you in the book, so you can practice it from there. And if someone needs more activities, just tell me and I will send you more.